Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Kurt, aka the Vitruvian Gamer, and we're here with the fourth part of this top 100 board games of all time, of the games that I've played at this moment in time. So we're starting with number 60. Now before I start with number 60, just a thing that's coming in between. I just filmed a vlog. So I don't know when you're watching this, but I also do this vlog, the Vitruvian Life, on this channel, and I just talked about two games that I played yesterday, so before the day before I record this part, and we played two games there, two new games, and which are Quest for El Dorado and Fantasy Realms. Now, to be honest, if I make my list today again, two games would be added to this top 100. Those two games, really. So that's just to say how contemporary this list is. It's about now, in this moment. Of course, I made the top 100 already, so I'm not going to change it. But if I was to make this list today, two other games would be in it. That's how it goes. And again, next week, if I play another new game, it might change again. Who knows? So, but anyway, this is my top 100 from the moment that I made it. Very current list, but already old, as you can see. Anyways, let's go with number 60. Number 60 is, let's take my list here. Number 60 is on Board Game Geek, number 541, which sounds not very highly rated, but it's not that old yet. It is from last year, a new game, and it is the game that I backed through Kickstarter, mostly because of the theme, and because there aren't that many games that really catch the essence of a Western game or a Western theme. And I'm talking about Western Legends. Now, Western Legends is what they call a sandbox game where each player plays a Western legend, and they're trying to score most legendary points to be the most legendary whatever in the Wild West, because you can go any way you can. There is a big map, and you can go gamble, you can go rob the bank, you can go buy cattle, get cattle and sell it legally or illegally. You can catch bandits if you want, and that scores you marshal points. But you can go the bad way by robbing people, and then you get on a wanted track, and it all scores you points. How you want to score points, that's your that's what you choose to do. And now this game is not perfect, honestly. We played it, and I'm not sure about the balance of the complete thing. But what it really does is give you that Western feeling, that's for sure, and that's why I got this game. So I'm still happy with it. I need to play it more to figure out if there's really a problem with some ways that you can choose to go, it looked to us that it was very hard to be a wanted guy, but we'll see in the future how wrong or how correct we were about that. Next game, number 69, is also a brand new game. I think it also was released in 2018, although there's already an expansion, which is impossible to get. I tried to buy it at Spiel, but it was sold out very quickly. I think they didn't have a lot of copies. It's a game by Ultra Pro Entertainment, and a little bit earlier, in one of the previous episodes, I talked about Star Realms leaving the top 100. Now, this might be the game that pushed it out, because it is Shards of Infinity, and Shards of Infinity is very similar in its gameplay to Star Realms. It's a deck building game. Now, in this deck building game, it works for 2 to 4 players instead of the 2-player only for Star Realms. Star Realms also has a solo variant, I believe. I don't think this will work very well with more than 2 players, so I look at this as a 2-player game. And in this game, you're doing deck building, and you're buying cards from the middle of the table, adding them to your deck, and you're trying to kill your opponent. Each player starts with 50 points, life points, or you can score other ways. There is this track, and I'm not sure how it's called again. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know anymore. You can master the power of infinity. So there's also another track that you can go up in, and if you have enough points, I think if you go to 30 on that track, there is one card that if you play it and you have 30 or more of those points, you do unlimited damage. So you win the game. Very cool, different types of cards in there. The one that focuses on healing, one that focuses on attack, one that focuses on getting those points and mastery. I don't know how it was called anymore. Oh man. I think it's mastery points. I'm not sure. Very cool game, quick game as well. So a very cool filler. We like it quite a bit here in house. On Board Game Geek, it is 1453, so it has some way to go to get high up there, but it is a cool, very cool game. My number 68, it was number 42 last time, so it dropped 26 spaces. It is number 600 on Board Game Geek, a nice round number. This is a tile placement game where you have these lanterns. Because the game is called Lanterns in English, it's a very different title in Dutch. And in this game, the cool thing is that you draw a tile and you have to place it somewhere adjacent to other tiles. And the way you place it, every tile has 4 sides, of course, and there are different colors. And you get the bonus, if you place your tile against the same color, you get a bonus card of that color. And then every player, you first, and then the other players will get the color that is pointing to them. So they get a card of that color, if there's still any in the supply. And that way you're trying to make sets of certain cards that score you bonus cards, objective cards, which give you points at the end of the game. Very simple, straightforward game, but it's very important where you place those tiles. Maybe you can get more cards that you need, and maybe some colors are depleted in the supply, and if you point those colors to your opponents, they don't get any cards. So there's more to it into this game than it looks like, but it's still a very, very accessible game. I would call it a gateway game for sure. Very cool. Lanterns. Lanterns is the guilty one that, not only Lanterns, because, but last time 68 was his game. That's not in the top 100 anymore. And again, it's a Portal Games game that drops out. So again, I'm not being biased. I'm trying to be very neutral in all this, even though I do a lot of work for Portal Games. The game that's leaving the top 100 is Tides of Madness, a very quick, very fun, interesting 2-player drafting game. So it's very unique in its kind, and I still really like it a lot. It has its older brother Tides of Time. If you want to have a simpler version of this, works perfectly as well. Still very much like it, but didn't make the top 100 anymore this time. Alright, we're already at 67. 67 was number 21 last year. It's my lucky number, but apparently it is not its lucky number. It dropped 46 spots. On Board Game Geek, it is 613. So I still rate it higher than most people. And this is what they call a push your luck game. And in this game, you are going in this flying ship, and you are trying to get as far as you can, because the farther lands give you more points. Of course, it's always about points, right? And this game is called Celestia. Now, Celestia has gorgeous components to start with. It has this little, flying ship. It doesn't really fly, but it is pretty. So you have this flying cardboard ship. It even rotates here. And so each round there will be a captain, and the captain will roll dice, and those dice have things that you will have to get through. So some hazards like lightning, like pirates, and all those things. And players need to, the captain needs to play those cards with the same symbols to get through that place, to go to the next part of the landscapes. Players see which dice are rolled, and they can decide either to stay where they are in the ship or to leave the ship. They will score points till they get a card from the location they're at that moment, or they stay and then they have to hope that the captain can play the cards needed to get through the next part. If the captain doesn't have the cards needed, the plane crashes and all players still left inside of the ship will get 0 points, and then you start over again with the new captain, and play continues until a player reaches a certain amount of points. Don't remember how many. Very cool push your luck game. Celestia. Now Celestia was number 67, and last time 67 was Dead of Winter, a Crossroads Games, which I don't have anymore. I sold it already a while ago, because it had its flaws. I loved the theme, I loved the idea, the crossroad cards. So each turn player drew a card for while the other player did his turn. If there was something on it that says, if this happens, this triggers. If it didn't, well, it just went away at the end of the round. But if it did, then something happened, then you got something of a story inside of it. Now, the biggest problem for me was that it could take so long before it was your turn again, because you still had turns, and during the game, people could get more survivors in their team or working for them, and they were represented by dice. Now, the more of those people you had, the more actions you got. So some players only had 2 survivors to start with, or maybe even 1 because someone died, and others had 5 or maybe 5 ones. So their turns took very long, while your turn was over in a heartbeat, and that left a sour taste in my mouth. They're having a new game at this moment, Gen 7. Haven't played it yet. Probably won't buy it because it is expensive and I don't want to take the risk. I'm also not sure if I have a perfect group to play it with. But anyway, Dead of Winter, not in the top 100 anymore. Then we go to number 66, and 66 was number 32 last time, so we dropped 34 spaces. Some dropping games in these 10 games. It is 478 on Board Game Geek, so I still rate it higher than the most people. And this is, oh man, how should I call it? Dice placement area control game? Maybe it is kind of an area control game, yeah. And it's called Las Vegas. Las Vegas by Rudiger Dorn and Alia. Also with a bad insert, honestly. In this game you have 6 casinos. And each player at the beginning of a round, every player rolls their X number of dice. And then starting with the start player, every player is going to put 1 number of their dice. So if you rolled 3 ones, and you want to place the 1, you have to place all ones on casino number 1. And each casino has cards with money on them. So there is money to be earned in each casino, and you want to have most dice on the casinos, because the player with the most dice at the end of a complete round, when all dice are placed, well, the player with the most dice on a casino gets the highest valued card. But if players are tied for a certain number of dice, those dice get ignored, and maybe the player with only 1 die, while the other players have 3 there, will score the highest points, and the other ones score nothing. You can play with white dice, which are neutral dice that you can also place. I guess that's the way to play it as well, because it adds a little bit more tactics to the game. Really like this one. Very accessible. Also gateway game. Very quick game. Very fun. Las Vegas. My number 66. Alright. Next is 65. And 65, I thought before I made this list and I saw that title coming on the list, I thought that was the game that would be rated lowest on Board Game Geek, but it is not. There are lower games. It is 1039 on Board Game Geek. It was my number 45 last time, so it dropped 20 spots, And if you ask me which game do you really like, that is really ignored. I don't see this being played, I don't see anybody talking about this, then I will mention this game. And because I really like it, but it doesn't get talked about. Now, this is a game by one of my favorite designers, Antoine Bauza, and it's called Samurai Spirit. As you can see, it's a small game. This is a cooperative game where you are this samurai protecting this tiny village from invaders. And it's hard to explain. So you're actually, each round you draw a card, an invader card, and you have to place it on one of the sides of the board. They are numbered, and and if you reach a certain threshold, then you get wounded, or you get knocked out. If you reach a special number just before you get knocked out, then you can activate your special power. So you want to get to that special power because those powers can help you very much. In the meantime, you're trying to have on the other side of your paperboard to place cards with certain icons on it, because those are special attacks from those invaders. And at the end of a complete round, you're going to check if you defended against each one of those symbols. Otherwise, villagers are going to die, farms are going to get burned, or you're going to get wounded. If you get wounded twice, you flip to your animal side, your animal spirit side, and you get stronger. But if you get wounded again, twice, then you are out of the game and the players lose. I really like this game quite a bit. It's my number 65. I wish more people would play it and rate it higher. Anyway, last year's number 65 is a game that I haven't played in a long time. Also a cooperative game, highly regarded. There are many new scenarios, many stories that came out since 2 years ago. And I'm talking about Time Stories, a game where you go to this adventure, this story, and you go, most of the time you go back in time. I guess there are also already scenarios where you go in the future. I don't know. But that's a cool thing. Each expansion brings you to a very different place and time. And you're trying to solve something or do something or whatever. Now, very cool idea, a very fun thing as well. But for us, having to reset completely or go back and start over again when you ran out of time or whatever, you had to start over again. With knowledge, of course, so you knew maybe where to go and where not to go. But it started to get a little bit samey after a while, and like a chore, like we have to do all these things again just because we just didn't make it. And it left a little sour taste in our mouth. That's why it's not on the list anymore. I still respect the design and the idea, and maybe I'll play it again in the future, but for now, I don't feel like getting into it again. Number 64 was number 48 last time. So a drop of 16 points. It's number 25 on Board Game Geek, so it is rated very highly. And for many people, it's their favorite game. I know people love this game. Honestly, I know Elisa loves this game because I think it might be her favorite one. So I think if I let Elisa do a top list, and I'll probably let her do one in the future, not a top 100, just a top 10. I think this will be her number one. I'm not sure, but I believe it might be. For me, it's number 64, still highly rated, and it is Mansions of Madness 2nd edition. Now, Mansions of Madness is a big game, so I only took the box sleeve because it's just too big. There are so many things inside of the box, I don't want to get it all mixed up by carrying it like this. And in this game, you're playing scenarios in the Cthulhu Lovecraftian world. And this game is supported by an app. So you choose on the app, you choose the scenario that you want to play and the characters that you're playing with. And so the app knows everything you do. And it will tell you which rooms you will have to place, where there is stuff to be found, people to be talked with, and stuff like that. Very cool. Now, somehow we never won a single scenario, I believe. And we're starting to think that we're doing something wrong in this game. That we don't know how to beat it. That's only one thing. I can live with that. I like my co-op games to be a challenge to win, so no problems there. The one thing, and first of all, I really love the idea of the app, really, and it works. It helps. It gives more variability, and the first version you needed to have one player being the dungeon master, the mansion, playing leading the game. The app takes control of that and does everything for you. But somehow I don't like having to look at that screen so much. You have to look at the screen a whole lot. Every conversation you make, you have text that you have to read on the tablet or the laptop or whatever you're using. So in half of the game, we're sitting like this, watching the screen. And honestly, after a game of Mansion of Madness, my neck hurts like hell. Really. So, and it's a pet peeve. It really is, because this game is awesome, very good, great game. And I like it. It's number 64. I like it quite a bit, but most people like it even more. But I really like this. Go play Mansion of Madness 2nd edition. Don't listen to me. All right, and it's still, as I said, number 64 is high in my list, so it's a good, very good game. I like it quite a bit. All right, number 63 is a completely different game than Mansions of Madness. It is new to my list. It's another game which has had a new edition in 2018. It is 623 on Board Game Geek, and this is a party game. Plays up to 6 players, and this is called Pictomania by Vlada Shavatel. I got the White Goblin version. It's originally from CGE. Now, in this game, this is a game where you are going to draw stuff. So it has the Picto in the name, so it's like Pictionary, but better. So in this game, you will have, and I'm going to show you, mind you, these are Dutch words. You will have 3 cards each round. You're going to play 4 rounds, starting from easy with green cards to hard with the red cards. And they will have kind of a theme. Each card will have a theme. For example, this one has something about farms and animals, about fighting people, so like a wrestler, a knight, a samurai, and something with verbs, like working, learning, resting, and stuff like that. So every player will draw 2 cards, a letter and a number, ABC, number 1 to 7, and that's the word you will have to draw. So you are going to start drawing. As soon as you are done drawing, you turn around your drawing so that everybody can see it, and you can start guessing what other people are drawing. So you have cards with numbers 1 to 7, and you have to put the right number at the other player's player area. After everybody has done that, you will get to see who was right and who was wrong. The more people that correctly guessed your word, the better, of course, because you drew well. But also, the better you guessed and the faster you guessed the right things that they were drawing, the more points you score for that. Very cool, fun, fast drawing game. If you cannot draw very well, like I do, I cannot draw even if I wanted to. It's still great fun. Pictomania, my number 63. Not on 63 anymore is a game that uses some kind of dice placement and Yahtzee style system to get through ancient terrible events in ancient terrible things. Elise also likes this very much more than I do. I like this quite a bit. Elise loves this. In this game you have a board with all these terrible things that you have to beat, and you do that by, rolling certain combinations of dice that's on those cards, Yahtzee style, and you have different colors of dice that give you special powers. Some are stronger, some are weaker, and you get them by having items that you can buy, by earning money, by defeating these things and stuff like that. Those ancient terrible things get worse during the game, and at the end you want to have the most points, of course. Very cool game, Ancient Terrible Things. If you like the Yahtzee style thingy with a dark theme, awesome game. Ancient Terrible Things. Not in my top 100 anymore, but still a great game. Number 62 is another 2-player only game. This one is by Andreas Steiger. Also got a new edition in 2018, so a lot of games are, a lot of classics are coming back, which is very cool because this one was apparently hard to get. I couldn't say how hard it was because I had the game, so that's cool. And I'm talking about Targi. Targi is a 2-player game, as I said, where you are these nomads, this Targi, and you're trying to get resources and to build your own tableau of, I think, locations, and that will score you points. And it has a cool system because you have a grid of cards. You always have these cards surrounding it, but I think no, I don't think they're random, so they're always the same, but the cards in the middle will change. You have cards that give you resources like pepper and salt, if I'm not mistaken, and you have these location cards that you also want to have. And the way you get them is each player in turn order will place one of their workers on one of the cards on the outside, but you cannot place them across someone else's spawn or across your own. And at the end of placing your 3 workers, you will have 2 cross sections, and those cards are the cards that you will be getting. That way you can block people, of course, from getting the cards that they want, but that works in 2 ways, and that way you will try to get the cards that you really want. Very cool worker placement-ish game. Yeah, this is a cool one for 2 players. It has a lot of meat to it. A very cool system, very original game in my opinion, and that's why I like it that much. It's number 62 on Board Game Geek. It is 139 on Board Game Geek, which is pretty high again for a 2-player game, 2-player only game. So very highly regarded, and maybe it will even become higher on Board Game Geek now that it is available again. My number 61 is 1018 on Board Game Geek, and I know that the people, and it's the same designer. So I talked about Samurai Spirit earlier in this section of 10 games. This is the same designer, again, Antoine Bauza. Apparently he makes games that I really like and that people rate much lower than I do. It was 31 last time because it was very new and fresh, but it's still number 61, I'm sorry, and it is Oceanos. Oceanos is a drafting game. In this game, you are, in a way, drafting these cards that are, well, ocean pieces. So it is underwater scenery. And you are trying to score some kind of sets during in each depth of the game. So you want to, maybe you want to score have different kinds of fish. Maybe there are treasures, and the deeper the treasure is, you can, well, you can send divers into the water, and those divers you have to get by upgrading your ship, because you can update your little submarine, and the diver will take every treasure that he will get in one column. So you want to draft cards maybe that puts, you have 3 levels, that puts 3 treasure chests on top of each other, so you can get a lot of treasure with only one diver. But are you going to get that extra treasure? Because if you have passed 2 treasures in a column and you hope to get a 3rd one, and you don't get a 3rd one underneath there, you cannot send your diver anymore. And so it has a push your luck element, set collection element, upgrading your submarine the right way. I really like this game. Very colorful, beautiful, and very fun, in my opinion. That's why it's my number 61. And with that, we end this part. Of course, we have 10 more down the pocket, and that ends this part. Let me know what you think of these choices. I think there might be some that you are thinking, no way, it never should be in your top 100. But hey, this is my list. But I'm hoping you are enjoying it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, whatever you want. But I hope you're back next time where we go. Oh, are we going to go to the top 60? Yes, we are. Thanks for watching again, and bye-bye.